No man has a right to own mountains. Chapter 5. No, Rosie, and that's final. Oh, ma'am, that's just not fair. There's nothing fair in this, except for the weather, I know, but you're not a tyrant or a land thief. You're my lovely ma'am, and you, of all people, should be fair. Grandad promised to take me, and now he can't, and now... That's quite enough, young miss. I'm not having you traipsing off on your own to stay with strangers. You're only 11, for goodness sake. Rosie couldn't believe her ears. She flounced out of the kitchen in a rage, ignoring her grandfather, who buried his head in the newspaper, desperately thinking how he could act as a go-between, and not sure his diplomatic skills would be anywhere near adequate. He listened as Rosie stomped up the stairs. Then she started coming down again, and her head popped around the door. Grandad, tell ma'am I'm going on hunger strike, and I might even run away in the night when you're both asleep. You should never run away on an empty stomach, Rosie. I tried it once, and it's not a good idea, believe you me. Next minute she was on the sofa next to him, fighting back her tears. It's just not fair, Grandad. Mum's just an old meanie. He put his arms around her, and within seconds she'd buried her head in his chest, sobbing her heart out. Come on, Rosie, it's not the end of the world. Anyway, maybe me uncle will get better by next week, you never know. Eventually she regained control. Does it hurt bad, Grandad? Not really, he lied. We had a lovely day, apart from that, and we made some new friends because of it. I think Ralph's ever so nice, and Titch is a lovely dog. Even Mr. Gartside ended up being very kind. He did, didn't he? A bit of a surprise, that. I'm glad you enjoyed your day, love, and we'll soon be able to get back. You shouldn't blame your mum. She only worries because she loves you. She's only trying to protect you. She's a wicked old witch sometimes. Rosie, don't say that. Well, she is. It took me ages to convince her I could get the bus to school on my own, and if I can get the bus to school, why can't I get the bus to Hayfield? Ralph said he'd meet me at the bus stop. She just doesn't understand me. He gave her shoulder a squeeze. Don't be too hard on, but why can't she be like you, Grandad? You always understand me, and you care about me just as much as Mum. Meanwhile, Alice, despite being busy in the kitchen, could hear every word, and her ears were burning. She decided to intervene. Rosie, Before you say anything, Alice, I've had an idea. She looked at her father, a frown creasing her troubled brow. What is it? I hope it's not another harebrained scheme. Why don't you take a bit of time off and relax? You need a break more than any of us. You could take Rosie up there and meet the Gartsides. If you're not happy with them, you can bring Rosie back. If you are, you can let her stay the weekend. And, if you agree, I'll pay for you to stay at the Sportsman. You must remember it. It's a lovely pub and they do great food. Rosie's eyes opened wide in delight. Good old Grandad. Get out of that one, ma'am. Dad, I've things to do. I can't just drop everything, and how's an old cripple like you to manage without me? Less of the old, Alice. As for being a cripple, I'll get a crutch, and anyway, by next Friday I'll no doubt be able to hobble about. Yes, go on, Grandad. Don't let her off the hook. Well, I'll think about it, but I'm not promising anything. She returned to her food preparation. Rosie turned to Grandad and put her arm round his neck, hugged him tight and kissed him on the cheek. Brilliant, you did it. I knew you would. Mum's going to take me. I'll bet you anything you like. Tomorrow tea time she'll tell us. Grandad chuckled. Don't cross your bridges before. She will, bet you anything. The old man picked up his paper once more. You never told me about Benny Rothman, or what you meant about the cops being cleverer than the gamekeepers. I never did I? No, and I can't wait to find out. Food's almost ready. Can you set the table for me, please, Rosie? Looks as though you'll have to wait, love, Grandad said with a grin. I'd help you, but... Come in, ma'am. He opened his newspaper once more as Rosie disappeared into the kitchen for the knives and forks, a big smile illuminating her face. Lass, you've done us proud. Yes, that was lovely, ma'am. You make the best steak and kidney pie in the world. Can I clear the table and wash up for you? Alice looked at her daughter and frowned. Rosie tended to be helpful, but this was a bit over the top. No, we'll do it together. But I could murder a cup of tea, and I bet Grandad could as well. I'll make it, ma'am. And off she was like a shot. Alice caught her father's twinkling eye. Why the bus? Last time I went to Hayfield it were by train. That dates you, lass. The line to Hayfield finally closed in 1970, thanks to that stupid old so-and-so beaching. Now we've got lorries and cars blocking up A6, bonnet to boot, burning petrol and diesel as if it were going out of fashion, spilling out their poisonous fumes and slowing all buses up. You mark me words, we'll be crying out for railways soon, and trams for that matter. You can't keep living in the past, Dad. It's progress. Progress? You've got to be joking, Alice. Progress means going forwards, not backwards. They'll be privatising them next, and that means another land grab. What on earth are you talking about now? What's a land grab got to do with it? British Rail don't just own track and rolling stock. It owns vast acres of land, station yards, old goods yards, all the land along the edge of the railway. Beautiful country stations, magnificent and highly profitable hotels, like the North Euston in Fleetwood and the Midland in Manchester. There'll be land speculators falling over themselves to get it at a knockdown price. He returned to his paper. Well, there's not much we can do about it. The paper went down. Isn't there? We could use our democratic rights and ensure Thatcher don't get back in, and we could occupy any land they try to sell off, if worse comes to worse, and we could... Dad, calm down. Well, I can't help believing folks should stand up on their hind legs. We shouldn't allow our cents to be robbed left, right and centre, so-and-so land thieves. He turned back to his paper, then had second thoughts. And I'll tell you something else. Any government that says governments aren't fit to run public services and companies ain't fit to govern out. If they can't organise the running of a railway, what right have they to say they're fit to run a country? Answer me that. They'll have us disposing of our own sewage soon and burying our own refuse and digging well for water. There's not room for a cesspit in the backyard, Dad. Pity. I was thinking of inviting Thatcher for tea.